Desmond Bane for what was quite the haul as the Grizzlies traded Desmond Bane to the Magic for KCP, a.k.a. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4 unprotected first-round picks and 1 first-round pick swap. And so, Jaevon, I'll throw it to you first. What do you think about this trade?
I thought the Magic gave up a lot to get him. 4 unprotected first-round picks is a little insane for Desmond Bane. Usually when you get into the 3, the 4-round picks, these are all NBA-type players, with the exception of the Rudy Gobert trade. He was a defensive player of the year, but still 5 first-round picks for that was insane. I think the Magic are desperate for another guy that's not necessarily an all-star-ish. He's like borderline all-star in that realm. Not really an all-NBA guy, but he's in that realm of like, I need another guy that can score. Because if you look at it, it was kind of just Paulo, and then you were kind of hoping Franz had almost a 40-point game in the playoffs against us. So he's another guy that can definitely create for you offensively. Desmond Bane, however, is another guy that can create for himself, score off the dribble, can be a consistent 3-point shooter. I think he is another guy in that they kind of have their own mini big 3, if that makes sense. That's what Orlando's kind of looking at it like. We have 3 guys that can go for 25 at any given point in time. They can, in the playoffs, combine for 90 odd points. That's a possibility for them, and then kind of rely on other scorers other players off the bench to kind of contribute. But they needed another guy that can score, and scoring is what they lack. I thought they were going to go after a guy like Anthony Simons, a guy who's another guy like I saw they were like Jordan Poole, but I think Desmond Bane's a really solid this is a good fit for him. I think it works. I saw he's from Orlando too, so it's kind of match made for him. But Orlando kind of just need another guy to score, go out there and get a bucket, and I think both sides are happy. Memphis got 4 first round picks. Now it's going to be at the back end of the draft pretty much every year. And they also ended up getting Cole Anthony as well, too. So I think both sides are happy. I just think that Orlando gave a little bit too much to go out and get him.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on this deal? Because my reaction was similar to Jaevon, where 4 first-round picks, everyone talks about, oh, my God, Luka went for 1 plus Anthony Davis. And Desmond Bane is going for 4. Mikal Bridges went for like 5, and Rudy Gobert, as we know, went for too much. And so before I get your thoughts on this, I just wanted to share mine real quickly, is that I feel like Desmond Bane could end up being a great fit, as Jaevon was saying, for the Magic. But unless this guy is going to put you over the hump to win a championship, which I don't know if Desmond Bane is going to do that, seems like a lot to give up in my opinion. But what's yours, Kevin?
This trade was when you think of the 4 for unprotected first-round picks, like Toddy said, as Shaun said, you're thinking about Rudy Gobert for 5, Mikal Bridges, Luka Doncic went for 1. What you guys aren't really getting is they really only traded 2 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, and they traded 2 first-round picks to take $42 million contract of KCP. So you got to take a lot of that on the chin. If KCP wasn't in the mix, I think 2 firsts probably would have sufficed. But because you have to take on such a huge contract for a 33-year-old, you got to take that with a grain of salt. The Orlando Magic signed KCP off of their championship run in Denver because they thought he was going to be able to continue that narrative, continue pushing what he was doing in Denver. And it just didn't work out. You can say he's getting older, just didn't fit the offense. This team statistically was the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA last year. And for them to go 41-41, make it into the finals and lose in the first round. They went through the play-in, I believe. Yeah, they went through the play-in. And to lose to the Celtics, with Jason Tatum going down, the East is wide open. The Knicks have their problems. The Pacers have their problems. The Cavs have their problems. Bringing in a guy like Desmond Bane really elevates this team. And you got to keep Jalen Suggs. You got to keep Anthony Black. You got to keep Maurice Wagner, Franz Wagner. You're never trading Paolo. But to bring him into this young core, now him, Franz, Jalen Suggs, and Paolo, yes, they're taking majority of the money, but they're all signed long-term. We saw how good of a defender Jalen Suggs was with him out this year. Really hurt them. So to really hope that all four of them are going to be healthy, Desmond Bane, this addition is going to work very well. Like I said, the East is wide open, and they're saying, those, like Toddy said, those picks are going to be towards the late end of the first round anyways. So those picks, high likely, are not going to be getting you a good player anyway, so you might as well go all in on this opportunity. I would have preferred them to go get another point guard, like a LaMelo Ball, Anthony Simons, Trae Young. Like, there's a lot of guys, even a John Morant, like they could have went in and really went in for a guy like that. But Desmond Bane is a career 40%, I see him, 40% three-point shooter. So having a guy like that to kick to after being the team that shot the worst from three all in the NBA last season goes a long way. So, Toddy, what you got to say?
Desmond Bane went for 4 first-round picks. What does a LaMelo Ball, trade, what does that trade look like? If Desmond Bane went for 4, what is LaMelo?
Well, let me interject on that, because I feel like Kevin made an extremely good point that I never even thought about. Is you think about, okay, Desmond Bane for 2 first-round picks, but getting rid of that KCP contract is another 2 first-round picks. And so to follow up with your question, Jaevon, if KCP is still a member of the Orlando Magic, and I don't know if they make that work salary cap wise, if they're adding a guy of that caliber and then keeping KCP, but that's a very important caveat that Kevin pointed out.
To go get a LaMelo Ball, it probably would have taken 5, because he's a younger guy. You're not getting him. He doesn't play that many games, and you got to pay him. So probably 5. Trae Young, 5. But to get a guy like that, you're going to have to offload, because you're going to have to offload KCP. You can't bring in another max contract guy and have a guy that's sitting on the bottom, sitting in the back of your bench making $45 million. That's just not a good business move. So yes, you look at it and you say, oh, well, if Desmond Bane went for 4, KD's going for 7. You guys got to look at it as half of that trade was for them to say, please take this contract. And the other side of the coin is, are the Memphis Grizzlies going to extend Jaren Jackson and Ja, or are they going to ship wholesale? Everything must go. So they got a new coach. You obviously saw that the new system didn't really benefit Desmond Bane or Ja Morant. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they move going forward. Because, I mean, you can trade Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant, get another haul of picks. And maybe take the OKC route. I mean, the NBA is a copycat league. You're seeing the Indiana Pacers, I know Shaun's going to hate this, doing this with no superstars, not even an all-star on their team, and they're in the NBA Finals. So do you need a guy like that to carry you over the hump? As Shaun left for the audio-only listeners, Toddy's muted, but he's laughing hysterically. So the NBA is different. It's a copycat league. So now it's kind of seeing if they can do it, why can't we? So the East is completely open. So I think
don't think the Magic could beat the Pacers? The Magic, like, if we got matched up against the Pacers,
this year without Desmond Bane or with Desmond Bane?
I'm saying, like, with Desmond Bane.
With Desmond Bane, I would take the Magic in a series.
Better question. And yes, I had to leave very briefly. I was still sitting in the waiting room, but I just had to be dramatic. Could not handle the Tyrese Halliburton disrespect. It's just too much this episode. But better question, though, and I'll pose this to Jaevon first. We think about who the Magic played in the first round of these year's playoffs. Boston Celtics. Would the Magic, now as presently constructed with Desmond Bane, have beaten the reigning champion Celtics in the first round?
Hell no.
They took one game.
Hell no.
Because Paolo and Franz went off.
Yeah. And now they got Desmond to sit in the corner and shoot threes.
I mean, if Jason Tatum doesn't go down, they don't make this trade. Now, if you're telling me the Celtics without Jason Tatum play the Magic, I'm taking the Magic.
We taking the year off.
Yeah, well, and to that same point, Kevin, I've seen a lot of people wondering. We haven't even talked about Kevin Durant, but it's just all speculation right now. The trade could happen by next week, and then we'll talk about it in full. But for the sake of time, we're not talking about Kevin Durant rumors right now.
When is Game 6?
Believe Game 6 is on.
Game 6 tomorrow. So about 12 hours after the finals, they're going to announce the KD trade.
Well, even to that point, when Shams was on ESPN's Hoop Streams broadcast yesterday before the game, and Hoop Streams is basically just like their social media broadcast, and it was Amon Shumpert who said, I believe the Spurs are the best fit and destination.
He was like looking at him like,
yeah, and for Kevin Durant. And Shams, you see Shams is like, shout
out to the Sacramento Kings. You built the fucking dynasty.
Yeah, as Jaevon shows the windy fingers.
I know we're talking about Desmond Bane trading, but I want to kind of sprinkle on the Kevin Durant chain. Could you imagine if Kevin Durant goes to the Spurs and the Spurs keep the number 2 overall pick?
They will.
I don't want to. I don't want to think about that world.
You know what they're going to give them? The Hawks picks that we should have fucking took.
Yeah, well,
they're going to give them
Zach LaVine and a Hornets lottery protected pick.
They're going to give them. They're going to give them the Hawks picks. They're probably going to give them Sohan.
Devin Vassell, Hawks. Oh, Devin Vassell was called mid in the group chat. I'm not going to say who said it.
It was me. It was me. It was me. I'll own that. Yeah. Kevin said I was having too many drinks in Mexico. I stand by that take. He's mid. Anyways, the reason why I mentioned Kevin Durant in the first place is his rumored destinations are the Rockets, the Spurs, the Heat.
I think the Heat were in there. Yeah.
The 2 Texas and the Heat.
Exactly. And so the reason why I mentioned that is I've seen a lot of people speculating, like, why would Kevin Durant want to go to the Heat? And it's to the point that Kevin mentioned earlier, where the East is much more wide open with Jason Tatum out next season. And who knows how long it's going to take him to come back the following season and return to form. And so that's got to be why the Magic said, we're going all in on this. And the New York Knicks, they're going to be in that conversation. The Cavs will be back. The Pacers are going to try to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals for a 3rd straight year. And so this is a really interesting trade. I'm not necessarily going to criticize it too much because I do feel like Bane will be a great fit, but it was a lot to give up for a guy like Desmond Bane, who, if I remember correctly, hasn't even made an all-star team in his career. And so we shall see, but my overreaction to this is they gave up too much. If they end up making it to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, then I think that they've proven us wrong, or at least proven me wrong. We shall see, and we will continue to talk about it here on Stats Over Politics. But